All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, Harry 𝐂𝐥𝐢𝐞𝐳 here. Today I have Sharif. We're going to be talking about how Sharif went from $0 to $6,500 in art sales in about 30 days. And yeah, Sharif, why don't I just pass it over to you, and you can just tell everybody a little bit more about yourself, your artwork, and what you do.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Harry. I've been an artist, a serious artist, for about 10 years now. My background is in engineering. I started out as an automotive engineer, barely painted during those years, and moved to California about, like I said, about 10 years ago when I started painting again, and that's where I started taking my art more serious. And my style is very, I'm a self-taught artist. I didn't go to school for this, obviously, and I'm inspired by music. I love music. I love listening to or watching live music concerts and stuff. And some of my family members are musicians, so I decided to create a series based on that. And one of my most popular paintings is a painting of a jazz guitarist, and that was used for a wine label here in Southern California. I was lucky enough to get selected as a wine label artist. So that kind of motivated me to keep going with my art and try new things. And, you know, fast forward to, yes.
Real quick, so behind you, aren't those some of your pieces right there?
Yeah, actually, yeah. My house is filled, unfortunately, with a lot of art. And, you know, I'm running out of space. So that's part of the reason why I'm taking this more serious now, because I need to either invest in a gallery space or a studio space or move out of my house. But yeah, I've been challenged, Harry, to, in California, it's very competitive out here. You got to really have your own voice. So I created a body of work kind of like to stand out from the rest and just do something different. It's kind of the same but different from a lot of artists. So I created a series of playing cards, like a poker theme art series, which is the largest body of work I've ever generated. It's about 75 to 100 pieces, and as you can see, they're all about 4 feet tall.
I can see the heart, yeah, that's a heart right there.
They're all lined up. If I move them, they might fall. So
don't worry. But yeah, you have this like playing card motif with a lot of them, right?
Yeah, and it's based on, you know, the King of Spades, the Ace of Spades, Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Hearts, stuff like that. And it's usually movie icons, movie stars, actors, musicians, you know, like Jimi Hendrix.
Would you call that like pop art, or how do you describe your art?
Exactly. I was fortunate enough to work at a gallery, a professional art gallery in San Diego, which focused on pop art, surrealism. So being engulfed in that atmosphere for 5 years, I was absorbing all the art that was coming in contact with. So that's part of this series, is kind of taking the bits and pieces of other professional artists who are pop artists and kind of create my own little pop artist series.
Nice. Well, let me ask you this, so what sort of collectors do you work with? You know, what sort of people really resonate with your work?
So the wine industry has been where most of my collectors come from. So like I said, I was able to start with one winery and do one wine label. That was such a hit that I did 2 more. And so what I would do is I would bring some original art, first of all, the original wine label art, to the winery, hang it up, and people would buy it. And I never met them, you know, I never meet the people, because the winery would sell my work for me. So after a while, after about 10 paintings sold, I started asking, who are these people buying my art? You know, and one guy was just, you know, some rich dude with a big house, and he's filling it up with a bunch of Spanish theme art, and he liked my style, and he just kept on, every time I put up a piece, he would buy it. So I was like, I want to know who this guy is.
You have a super fan.
Yeah, I want to contact him. Can we interview him? But he's very private, you know, but he just enjoyed my style and, you know, felt like it was very just loose and free. So, and some other collectors came from the art gallery, and I did get to meet them in person, but it was very just casual. You know, it's nothing in depth about who they are, where they're from, or anything like that. It's just they saw my art, they liked it, and they bought it.
Is the vineyard, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but is the vineyard where you do those live painting things, or is that separate?
Yeah, I mean, a long time ago, Harry, back in 2010, 11, 12, I would do live art alongside their concerts. They had
Gotcha.
concerts in the summertime, and they would let me set up my easel and paint right next to the stage. And that was well received. Everybody enjoyed that, but I didn't really sell anything from those live events.
But you're
Maybe
doing
because
events now today, and that's at a different place. That's at like a restaurant or a club, right? So what those people that are buying from that event, do you have any sense of what sort of those collectors are like? What draws them to your work?
So the art that I show at the vineyards are more of my jazzy Spanish themed kind of art that's similar to the wine labels. I consider it my safe conservative art. And then at the restaurant, there's a restaurant / nightclub on the other side of town, which is more of a younger, energetic crowd. It's basically a nightclub. People come to party, hang out, let loose and stuff. And then I set up my easel there and paint the playing card series. So I think that's the difference. Maybe the playing card series is more accepted for the younger crowd, and they feel like maybe that's in their price range because it looks like something they can relate to. So yeah, I get a lot of feedback on, hey, can you paint me, or what does it cost for me to get a painting like that for my house, or it's all positive feedback when I do the restaurant / nightclub.
Yeah, so it sounds like kind of like, I bet that crowd it's people that are definitely professionals, but they're young, they're outgoing, they're probably interested in having like creative things or creativity in their life. They want unique things, they want things that are different, and they see what you're doing and they're like, oh, can you paint me?
Yeah. Now, one thing, Harry, just to note real quick, I have been painting at the restaurant bar for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Until this year, I was up on stage with the DJ and people couldn't reach me. They couldn't just walk up and talk to me because I was elevated. So the difference this time is that I'm on the ground level and people can just walk up right behind me and tap me on the shoulder and just start talking. So that's a big difference.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second. We'll get more into that. But before we kind of get into that, what do you think makes you unique as an artist? What's unique about why people connect with you and end up buying your work?
I think it's the rules that I break. Like I said, I'm not classically trained as an artist. I have no idea. I have no history on art or the great masters of art. Yeah, I probably should study them eventually, but my technique is very odd. Where if you see it in person, it kind of takes a minute for you to whoa, what is this? Because I use watercolor, but if you're familiar with watercolor artists, they paint very on watercolor paper, very translucent and not very much
light
detail. Right. And I kind of flip the script and I use watercolor as if it was acrylic or oil. And I use oil mediums with my watercolor, which is violating the rules, I know. But it's a little trick that I learned from a friend at the art gallery a few years ago, where you can make your paintings pop and be more bold if you use this special medium. And so when I do live art at the nightclub, I have these, high definition, bright lights shining on my paintings, and it pretty much illuminates the entire nightclub.
Wow.
So you're drawn to it, and I think that's the difference. Plus, I don't think people have seen this style before. We've seen poker art where people take, subjects and turn them into playing cards or put them on playing cards. But I'm actually taking a character like a James Bond character and kind of doing a mold between Two-Face from Batman and James Bond. It's half black, half white, but he has a spade on his eye, and it's realistic. It's
really
not
unique.
Too cartoonish,
Yeah.
So I don't know
Very
if that answers the question, but
yeah, no, I think that's part of it. I mean, you talk about the style. What about? I wonder if there's something about you personally as an artist. Do you feel like people are able to connect with you? You're open to talking to them. There's something about that piece as well, perhaps?
Absolutely. That's a major part of it. I mean, a lot of artists are not comfortable coming out of their studio shell and their private space to share their art with the public. And I think that's what catches people off guard is like, who is this guy like in the middle of a nightclub painting? Like, how are you doing this? And I constantly get that. They're like looking at me like, whoa, we never seen this before. I mean, even though painting live at venues is very popular in San Diego, I used to do it all the time at another spot in San Diego, but out in Temecula where I live, it's unheard of. And I'm very approachable. I love talking to people. I'm not shy. I take criticism. I take compliments all the same. I converse with people. I try to find out who they are, what they're about, and what drew them to my art. And, basically I just tell them, you guys are in my studio space. This is where I hang out during the summer. I'm not trying to sell art to you. I'm just here hanging out, enjoying the vibes and the music just like you, except I'm painting and you're dancing. That's the difference.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I always love chatting with the folks that come up to me. It also helps that I'm painting, well, actually not. I paint some controversial stuff at the nightclub, but I get away with it because it's a younger crowd. They're more accepting, So.
Well, people are loose if they're drinking. People are just real loose in that environment, and I bet you probably paint a lot of people that they recognize if you're also painting celebrities or pop figures.
And I think,
stuff.
Yeah, that's the lead-in, Harry. That's the lead-in. Is I paint pop icons. Like everybody knows who Jimi Hendrix is. Everybody knows who Prince is, Michael Jackson, or Katy Perry or something like that. And then I try to switch it up where I do a commission. I have one piece up that is a commission of a normal, regular, everyday person, and then I have a celebrity right next to it.
Interesting.
And I say, hey guys, I'm doing this commission for this young lady I met last week. She wanted me to paint her like, like Jennifer Lawrence or something. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
very cool. Well, let's go back to kind of the beginning. Like, if you can think back, what were you doing before you started working with me?
I was actually, I've been taking steps to take my art more serious and to market my art more. So I wanted to learn the whole art business. There's a program at the University of California, Fullerton, that it's a marketing class, and they take on subjects to see how they can advance their business, mainly for startups. Doesn't matter if you're an artist or a craft store owner or a clothing designer, whatever. They help you go from point A to point B with your business, getting it off the ground. So I did that before I met you. I was already studying how to grow my art career and what should I focus on. Should I focus on the wine labels, or should I focus on the playing card series? And in 2020, last year, I didn't have any plans on, really marketing myself as an artist. I was just enjoying my day job and just painting on the side and painting at the nightclub,
Got it. So it sounds like last year you were just kind of painting, working on your craft, and then recently, before we started working together, you were participating in like a university class as kind of like a subject where these kids were helping you,
Exactly.
Allegedly trying to help you with your marketing, but still in that moment, like you were trying to figure out what should I focus on, which direction should I take things in.
Absolutely.
Were you making any sales at the time really, or not really much?
The sales were not initiated by me, or there was no effort on my end. Like I said, I had a painting that was hanging up at the winery. I still have artwork up at the winery. It's just constantly on rotation.
It's kind of like on consignment, like somebody might buy it but you don't have to do anything. It's just hopefully that sells.
Exactly. There's no effort on my end. It's all on the winery's end. They take a commission. And one visitor there, like a long time ago, saw my work, took my information down, and he finally contacted me last year and said, hey, I really like your piece at the winery, but can you paint something, similar to this style or more, more abstract? So that was the only sale I made last year.
Interesting. So you made one sale personally last year, and you had a couple things sold through this winery otherwise. Right. Interesting. And how much was that sale for, just ballpark?
That was $2,500.
Gotcha. Got it. So thinking back to that, about a month ago, before we were working together, What sort of frustrations were you feeling? What was going on? How were you feeling about what you were doing at the time?
Well, first of all, I've been frustrated with my job, which is why I started focusing more of on my art. So since I'm not able to get any satisfaction out of my regular career, I decided, well, why not focus on something that I really enjoy? But I didn't know where to start. You know, it's like, yeah, I know the wineries. That's a good start. That has a proven track record of providing sales with no effort. You know, the winery does take commission, but I have no power in advancing that or accelerating that. So I wanted to say, well, what if I focused on putting my art in real estate or home staging? So I was investigating that and had a few successes, but I wasn't really clear on how far I can go with that. And I'm like, okay, what if I focus on my live entertainment? If I just paint it live at a venue or more venues, could I get our sales that way? I was all over the place. And
you're
now
just brainstorming all this stuff, and it was just throwing stuff at the wall.
Everybody's throwing ideas at me, and I'm trying to see what works and what's going to stick. And I'm just like constantly trying everything, and I'm like, I just need to focus.
And I remember like one thing you told me, I think that like marketing class at the university you participated in. I think maybe you said something about how like the professor, they're really talented, they understood marketing, but they had a background from like really big business. So a lot of their ideas were like, oh, well, just take this big budget and advertise, or like, can you speak a little bit to that about like how you're getting ideas from all these different places and it was hard to figure out what could relate to you as an artist, you know?
Yeah, with the university and with the professor, I approached the class with the intention of them focusing on how I can market myself as a business with my art, from the home staging to the wine labels to the live entertainment. And then the professor made an excellent point. He says, well, why would anybody want to buy from you if they don't, you know, if you're not well known? You have no brand. You don't have a brand yet. And he's like, well, I think you need to focus on you. You're the brand. And that really clicked with me. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways from the marketing class is like, why am I trying so hard to create a faux business that's selling my art?
Yep.
And I should focus on myself, the artist myself, where I develop my own brand, and the brand is me.
Yep.
And you know, it was only a 3-month marketing class, and you know, probably a month of it was spent just studying. You know, the students didn't know art or the art industry, so it was pretty much them getting familiar with how art works in the business world and how to market my art. And then the middle part was how I could rebrand myself and how I can build my brand, basically, from social media, you know, doing Google ads or, you know, buying ads on Facebook, stuff like that.
Well, suffice it to say, like, you're getting lots of different ideas from lots of different places, and occasionally you're getting gold nuggets, like that idea about you're the brand, but then sometimes you get mix in there ideas that just weren't as applicable, and it's just hard to discern kind of like what to do in what order and what to focus on. It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yeah. And I'm still that way to this day. Halfway a clothing designer, halfway a graphic designer, halfway an artist, live entertainment, you know, so I'm still circulating all these different paths, but
we're working on honing it in.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Well, let me ask you this. So where did you first hear about us?
So yeah, I was watching YouTube. I saw your YouTube ad. You caught my attention, man. So yeah, that was like the first YouTube ad I watched in full.
And what piqued your interest?
I think it was I was cloudy in my thinking, and you know, you caught me in a stage where I was already about to embark on that journey of taking my art business or art more seriously. And I was already in my head saying, you need to like literally treat this as if, I mean, you don't want to make it a 9-to-5, I mean, but put more focus and more energy in what you're trying to do with your art. I obviously have the inventory, so it helps when you're walking around your house and you got 100 paintings in your house, and then you go see a Harry 𝐂𝐥𝐢𝐞𝐳 ad on YouTube, answering all the questions that are in your head, you know. Or if you're one of the biggest ones that stood out was a professional artist is someone who, I don't know how you described it, but it was someone who like made a living, or the art is your living or whatever. And then
you make an income.
Yeah, and then a rookie artist is someone who has a day job and you're just doing a side gig with your art.
Yep.
And that's the same thing that the professor at the university was saying is, which do you want to do? Do you want to be an artist with a side gig as an engineer, or do you want to be an engineer with a side gig as an artist? Like, what's the deal? So yeah, I had to marinate on that for a while. On, am I willing to give up my career to be an artist?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like, and we're still working on that. Have you left your role, or?
No. Still have a day job.
Good. No, that's good. Like, I think like you're really, we'll get a couple more months of sales under your belt, and then you'll start having options around that if you want to, and we can definitely discuss that. So I know there's a lot of stuff that we cover. There's a lot of stuff we've been working on, but you're still just getting into it. There's still a lot to learn. But can you speak to, like, at a high level, maybe like one or two things where you've gotten value from our relationship, and how that's helped you make those sales?
I think the biggest one is mindset. Changing your mindset and the view of others. Like, why am I shooting myself in the foot or being so negative before I even meet people? And it's almost like I had to write this down on my whiteboard. It's like, I had to tell myself, you're approachable. People like your art. You never received any negative comments. What's the problem? Why don't you get yourself out there and do something? So I think in the first part of your course, you're talking about the mindset and the view of others, and, finding out what their hopes and dreams are, and, what makes them click. And, for me, the best way to do that is in person.
Yep.
I'm not afraid to talk to strangers. And so when you get someone in front of you and you ask those questions, like, how are you doing, what's going on in your life, and you get them talking about themselves, then that opens up a whole new window of communication and personality and likes and dislikes and their dreams and hopes in the world. I mean, it's really in depth. And then since you released the artist edition part of the course, I'm a visual person. I try to equate the words into reality, I guess. Mm-hmm. So you had an image of, the lonely guy on the island, and then, which is just the common man or woman. If they just had the basic needs in life, it's just, I'm stranded on an island and I got the basics. I got food, or I got water, food, but I'm not
thriving.
Right. And then you have on the other side, big city life, nice job, nice car, everything. Like, what does it take to get from the island to the big city life with, all the niceties taken care of? And, that got me thinking. It's like, okay, well, when I have these conversations with people, instead of me trying to push on them my art and talk about art, I kind of want to get in their head and find out, well, where they are in their life now, and what are their hopes and dreams, and where do they wish they could be, and then try to see how my art fits into that.
Dude,
do they see their art, or do they see my art as carrying them from, hey, I have a nice job, have steady income, but I'm not feeling great about myself. It'd be nice if I had a painting in my house that I could look at every day that reminds me I'm powerful, I'm strong, I can conquer, and that's going to motivate me to be a better person in life.
I love it. It's so powerful.
Those parts of your course, man, that helped tremendously, and that carries over when I do the live art.
Well, let's talk about that some for a second too. So, like, with the live art, you were talking about it a little bit earlier, and I said let's talk about it in a sec. Can you tell everybody a little bit about how you've been at that club for 10 years doing the live painting, but you've been up on stage, and how we talked and we changed some of that stuff? Can you talk a little bit about that piece of things?
Yeah. So the live art gigs started. So I was part of an art club in my city. It was about a group of 6 or 7 of us, and we would go down to this restaurant and hang out all the time. And the owner of the restaurant has a stage where bands play. They have concerts there during the summer. And I guess one summer it was kind of slow. He wasn't having a lot of action, and he invited us to come and set up our easels and paint on stage. This is about 2008, Harry, so it was a long time ago.
Wow.
And long story short is a lot of my art friends either moved or moved on, and I was like the only one left. And me and the owner are like, hey man, if you want to keep on doing this, come on back every week. We'll have you up. I'm like, cool. So I would, the stage is elevated about maybe 3 feet off the ground, and it's outdoors, and the nightclub is indoor nightclub. So I will set up my art next to the DJ and paint. Mm-hmm. And before, I would always have my headphones on, which is probably a big no-no, all right? Because people thought, oh, he doesn't want to be disturbed. He's up there just doing his thing. Let him be. It's
kind of a signal you're giving off. You're like, I don't want to talk to people.
And still, people would come and yank on my pants or touch me on the leg, try to get my attention. They would like try to wave for me at the side, try to get my attention. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, hey, how you doing? I'm just painting, you know. I was never trying to strike up a conversation. So the owner of the nightclub he actually owns a winery, a restaurant, and a brewery in the city. So it's like a 3-tiered family business. And I don't know, he just really enjoys me doing this for some reason. He's not offended by my artwork. He loves my artwork. And he's like, the people enjoy you, and you know, we try to promote artists, local artists, so we want you to keep on coming back. So starting last year, after I took that marketing course, the students in the marketing course were saying, Sharif, you need to take advantage of that studio space you have at the nightclub. Start using that as your launching pad for telling people who you are and getting people to come to your site, follow you. So I started to do that. I started to take advantage of the opportunity. I have a projector, and the nightclub is massive. There's a huge dance area, plenty of space, plenty of open space, and there's a big brick wall on the back. Yeah. So I would project my Instagram handle on the brick wall, nice and large.
Yep.
People could like, oh, hey, there's his Instagram. Let's just follow him right now. And then I took the headphones off and I started turning around and talking to people more.
Yeah, I remember like you and I were talking maybe a couple weeks ago, and you said that on average you talk to like 15 people a night, but you had never thought about, you never had actually asked for a sale there at the event or talked to them about commissions, right?
Right. It's usually them initiating the conversation about, hey, do you sell your work, or can you paint me, or something like that. And, you know, over the past 10, 12 years of doing that, I received, you know, you get a lot of, you know, BSers and just people who just want to know how much your artwork costs, and they're not interested in buying. They just, you know, they just like the scene, and they like looking at you, you know. But it's not until I actually started looking at the situation as a marketing opportunity where I said, okay, maybe I should get off the stage and come down to the main level and be amongst the people. And, you know, unfortunately, that's one of the benefits of COVID, is it forced the nightclub to be 100% outdoors.
Yeah.
And they expanded out into almost the middle of the street, so I can capitalize on the people that are walking by the restaurant, and the people inside the restaurant, and the people at the nightclub. So like you said, 10 to 15 casual conversations easily every night when I do this. And that's not even trying. It's people coming up to me and saying, I like your work, or, you know, how much does it cost?
So what sort of changes, like in the last month, have you made to those conversations? And like, do you use any of the sales techniques and things that I teach to help you with that? Yeah, actually, I haven't made it to your, believe it or not, I haven't made it to your sales portion. But when I looked at your leads section of the workshop, the same conversations you're striking up over social media with the quick chats, I was taking that
mindset and applying it in real life or to real people on the spot.
Yeah.
So as people came up and made comments on my art, I would ask them, hey, how are things going for you?
Yeah, so just for the people who are listening, to give some context, like there's some, we talk about how do you use like Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, how do you build conversations to build relationships with people on social media? And what Sharif's saying is that just by studying that alone and using those techniques offline, he was able to actually, he didn't even have to look at the formal sales training, just that alone helped him make, 5 sales in the last month?
Yeah. And, you know, it's amazing how much people spill when they're a little bit tipsy. You know, they tell you a lot about themselves. You know, either they're recovering from a divorce, or they were traveling from Vegas and they stopped by, or, you know, they are celebrating the milestone birthday. I mean, you get all sorts of walks of life coming through that nightclub, young and old, all backgrounds, everything comes through. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to test out your training and your workshops and see what kind of feedback you get. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the last commission I made, Harry, was basically following that same routine. You know, there was a young lady that was celebrating the milestone birthday. You know, before diving into my art, I was asking about her life and how she came, you know, to this point, you know, what major accomplishments or triumphs did she have in her life up to this point. And then we started talking about the art and the power of the color and the power of the playing card symbols and stuff like that, and how it really resonated with her. You know, and that was like an easy warm up into, well, why don't we do a painting for you? You know, she's like, oh my God, do you do I mean, I thought you just did celebrities. You're going to paint me? I'm like, yeah, let's just take some photos real quick. Yeah, I have my setup is set up like a photo booth. So if people don't have a good photo, I just take the photo of them on the spot, which is part of like the package.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads into your vehicle.
Yeah.
Is people get a whole bunch of you get a lot of special add-ons when you work with me.
It's like an experience. It's not just like a transaction where they get the painting and they don't have like an interaction, or like it sounds like you do give them access to the photos too.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I've learned from your course is it's not just a transactional relationship. It's not just a one-off. You're not just going to do a commission, give them a painting, and you're done. You're going to build a relationship. You're going to follow up as you're creating the painting. You're going to share with them the progress of the painting, and then when it's completed, then that's a whole nother level of opportunity. Mm-hmm. From delivering it to their home, having a interview with the artist, a client interview, sharing a video of how they came to meet me and how I developed the art for them. So yeah, that's huge.
That's awesome. So yeah, so just remind me. So yeah, you did how many commissions, how many originals, and how much were the sales in total again? So
the first night, which was, it just blew my mind. So I watched your training, and you know I attended some of your Q&As, and I heard some of the feedback from some of the other artists, and I'm like, okay, screw it. I'm going out. I'm going to apply everything I know right now to this event I'm going to tonight.
And I remember like the first time you and I talked on a Q&A, I was like, yeah, like just go to these events. Like it seems like you've got like this predictable source of leads literally staring you in the face. You just haven't actually been intentional about asking for the sale at the events.
Right. Well, I never really asked for the sale, Harry. That's the thing it was like a mindset thing. It was like a Jedi mind trick. I go to the event, I set up my artwork. So I have 2 originals that I'm working on. One was completed and one was like 60% complete. And so I just start painting. And then, you know, the impact of the colors really affect people, and they're gravitated toward it. So one conversation started with these 2 young gentlemen who were trying to decide which one resembled their wife. And it's like, oh, I got to get this for my wife. She would love this. And, you know, then I just started striking up a conversation with him. And then another group of guys came over and said, what did he offer? I'll double it. You know, it was just
really?
Like a bidding. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, guys, listen, I appreciate all the compliments, but, you know, I'll take you serious. Whoever drops the first deposit, can take home this painting or can own this painting. So it was kind of the originals that sold were for $1,000 a piece, and the deal was that if you meet me in person at one of my events and you talk to me in person, you're going to get an artist direct discount, because it's a lot easier to make a sale on the spot, person to person, and it kind of guarantees more business. It's just more personal.
And what about the commissions?
The commissions were, the two guys that were fighting over it were saying, okay, whoever puts down the deposit owns it. Now the guy that lost the debate came back to me and said, can you paint my girlfriend? It really bums me out that I wasn't able to get your painting last week, because he came back, Harry. He came back the following week to see if I was still going to be there.
Yeah.
So he came back and was like, okay, I really want you to paint my girlfriend. It's going to be a surprise. Don't tell anybody. You can't share it on social media. I'm sorry, but it's going to be very low key. So I want you to do it just for her, and we're going to have an unveiling for her. So that's how that commission panned out. He said I made such an impression on him on how I carried myself the first night, the previous week, that he said, I really respect you as an artist. It looks like you're an honest guy. You're true to your word. So I want to work with you. So that was the second commission.
It's interesting how it was a lot about, again, it's like how you conducted yourself as an artist,
right,
that really resonated with him. Obviously the artwork has to too. That's table stakes, but it's kind of cool to hear you say that.
Yeah, and that kind of, it's like a nod to the professor. He said, you're the brand, you're the superstar. Lean in on that. If you have the personality, you have the character, that's going to gravitate and draw people towards you. So my bad. That was the first commission for the guy who wanted to do it for his girlfriend, future wife. The second commission was the guy that bought the two originals has been coming back to see me paint almost every weekend.
Yeah.
And he just wants to hang out with me. So he brought.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, he brought his wife this time to the nightclub, and they were more calm and relaxed. They weren't drunk and fighting over a painting. They were very professional this time. And then now his wife wanted the painting, so I did a quick photo shoot with his wife in front of my setup, and gave him a time frame of about a couple of months to complete it, because I had other commissions to finish first. So that was the second one, and then the third one came last week when, again, that was the young lady celebrating a milestone birthday who wanted to do a commission in a similar style to a painting that I already had up that night.
And so what was the total amount you made in sales from all those pieces?
So the two originals were $1,000 a piece after the discount, so $2,000 from the originals, and then the commissions are $1,500 a piece. So 3 commissions, $1,500, $4,500 total.
$6,500 total, right? So
$6,500. Yeah.
How does that feel? How does it feel to make that amount?
It feels unreal. It feels so unreal that I'm trying to, as my technical side likes to prove theories, I want to just keep on proving this theory wrong until I make 20,000, 30,000. If I keep the same formula up where I go to a nightclub and I paint live on a Friday, Saturday night and make 10 to 15 interactions, and if I get 10% of those interactions turning into a sale or a commission, then I'm just going to keep on doing that nonstop until it breaks.
Have you ever made $6,500 in a month from your art?
No, not in this short period of time, no.
And now, yeah, once you've done it, you feel like, oh, I can do this again? Like you see the path to doing it?
Absolutely. And it's not about selling a $5,000 painting, and trying to make that big sell. You can do it in increments, do 2 or 3 commissions a month, $1,500 a piece. That's okay. Then as you start getting more notoriety and exposure, then you change it from, 2 to 3 to 5 to 6 or something.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're there.
Well, let me ask you this, so just more broadly, what areas of your business or life do you feel have improved since we started working together? I've
become more focused and more disciplined. All right. there's a difference between starting a project or a venture and just taking two or three steps and then stopping and then getting lost. I think with this, since taking this course or enrolling in this course, is I've been more consistent every day in following a routine on learning the training, applying the exercises, taking the notes, and then going out in the real world and applying the logic in the real world. And to not stop. Be consistent. Do that week after week after week after week.
So why do you think you've had these improvements? Why do you feel like the sales have gone up? Why do you feel like your focus is better? Why do you feel like you're being more consistent since we started working together?
Probably because I'm a little bit, I don't want to say I'm hard on myself, but I expect more of myself. It's almost like I've been waiting for me to take this more serious. And, it's not easy to do on your own. You always need like like in sports, you need a coach constantly telling you how to kick the ball or shoot a basket or, swing a racket. You can't just be out on your own swimming in the middle of the ocean and hoping, you're going to succeed. You got to have that coach on your side to say, oh yeah, you're doing this right or you're doing this wrong. Oh, that looks good, or keep doing that,
Yeah, it's like by us working together, it almost like gives you permission to treat it more seriously, to be more focused, to be more consistent, and then just have somebody who's in your corner who can kind of course correct you,
Right.
If that makes
sense.
And
what really helps, Harry, is the live feedback from the other artists. When you do the Q&A, and you get to hear how people are in a similar situation as you. Because if you're struggling and you're struggling by yourself, it's very depressing. But if you're struggling and you can relate or find a teammate or a partner that's struggling as well, you can kind of like keep each other motivated and moving along.
Yeah, it's so easy if you're on your own. You feel like this is just the way it is. Like artists have to struggle. Artists have to just not make money. And then as soon as you see somebody else who's just like you, who's starting to break out and have success, but they're still making mistakes. They're still struggling, but they're actually making forward momentum. You start to quiet that negative voice in your head that's like, I can't do this. This isn't going to work or whatever.
Exactly. Right.
Totally. So do you feel like you've gotten a good return on your investment just at a high level?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
We just got started.
And it's already paying dividends. And, it doesn't hurt that I'm kind of somewhat an already established artist where, thank goodness, I have a body of work that people can see. So it's a no-brainer. It's like, dude, you already have the inventory. You already have the background. Now go out and apply it.
Well, try to think back real quick to when you and I had our strategy session together and we were talking. Do you remember what made you decide to do business with me?
It was the repeatable process. You asked me, or we're talking about the thesis, and do I have a repeatable sales process or a strategy or something like that? And as soon as you mentioned that to me, I was like, yes and no, meaning that I do, but I wasn't repeating it. I had a fail-safe, guaranteed. I'm going to sell a piece of art from the winery once a year. You're asking me how much do I make from that, and I said about $2,500, and that was. But
it's not predictable. It's not repeatable, and you don't control it.
Exactly, and so that's what resonated with me is I got to find that path that I can just repeat over and over again, or walk that path over and over again, and it's going to guarantee either connections with people, commissions, referrals, or whatever, and that's what's been happening.
Yep. So do you remember, was there anything, what kicked you over the fence, so to speak?
Well, I'm already in the mindset that I'm not going to get fulfillment out of my day job. And I wanted to focus more on my creative, entrepreneurial type ventures. And I think the fact that you're offering, it wasn't like a one and done, hey, we're going to coach you for a month or whatever, and good luck. The this is, you know, thankfully, this is an ongoing, I don't know, lifetime, but, you know, long-term ongoing coaching. That's crazy. Like, I can stay in this, so a year from now, I can always refer back to this or use it as a reference if I try something new or if I need some motivation. You know, you're going to make yourself available, you know, for the long term, which is really nice.
So yeah, so you think, like, try to remember back to the end of our conversation. That was the sticking point for you. That was the thing that kicked you over the fence, was just that you felt like I was really committed to you and your success, and I wasn't going to just leave you after a couple of weeks and say good luck.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's been other opportunities where I've been invited to be part of an art development program, and it was like a fixed term, you know, a 2 or 3 month. Hey, in 2 or 3 months, we're gonna get you this, or, you know, join us. We'll give you a 30-day free trial, and, you know, after those 30 days, if you're not satisfied, you can either move on, or if you are satisfied, then you can continue on, but it'll only be for 3 months. And then after that, you're on your own. You know, I think it's a side-by-side continuous coaching from your program, which is really attractive, you know. And plus the group of peers that you get to converse with and share ideas with and communicate with is very valuable. That's actually way more valuable than just the coursework. Being able to have that live human interaction on a weekly basis, just to, like, if you lose focus, like you said, just attend the Q&A and then you're back on track.
Yep, that's awesome. So would you recommend others work with us?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, absolutely. It's the personal, you know, attention you receive, the quick responses you have on the Facebook groups on any questions you have. You know, most coaches will give you a set of workshops or tutorials to look at or videos to look at, but they rarely let you have a one-on-one conversation about, okay, well, what if I don't want to do that in the course and I just want to focus on that? You know, you're very open to changing direction, or, hey, don't put so much attention on this, really focus on this, and I think that'll get you going. Yeah, that's probably the most valuable portion of the course is the nuance and the change of direction. And if you're feeling lost, you bring everybody back on track. So
yeah, so it's like the combination of the program content plus having the Q&A calls with me, where you and I, we can connect and I can just really tailor things to your situation and help you get where you want to go faster.
Exactly, because it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of program. You know, some of it is catered toward business consultants. Some of the workshops are catered toward creative people, and you may be a well-established artist, or you may be a beginner. You know, starting with no inventory or no connections or no marketing materials whatsoever.
Yeah. Are you liking the new artist training?
Yes, absolutely. It's a lot shorter. Thanks for that.
Yeah, well, we'll keep
videos.
fleshing it out. I'm going to add even more and more artist training, but yeah, it's good to be bringing you guys stuff to just make it a little bit even faster, clearer, more examples for you guys. So
exactly.
I'm excited to be doing that. What sort of artists, what sort of artists do you think we're especially a good fit for?
Wow, that's a good question. Are you talking about what type of artists, like what stage they're at in their career, as far as, are they showing at galleries and they want to make more art sales, or? Because
you can interpret it as you will, but I don't think it's not as much about like the subject matter or their style of artwork, but yeah, more about their stage in their practice of their career. Yeah, like what sort of artists do you think we're a good fit for, or maybe personality and attitude?
Well, first of all, they have to be open to, you know, there's a lot of artists out there trying to use social media as their engine to sell art. And it's kind of like, well, you got to figure out what stage in their art career are they at. Are they looking to be the next great Picasso or whatever, and they want to get into that high-end gallery in Los Angeles and get a lot of notoriety there? or are they looking to be a marketing engine and, get their artwork sold in venues or to, individuals and then increase sales and maybe quit their job. So in my case, I consider myself a semi-professional artist who's on the verge of leaving his day job to take a leap of faith into his art career. So if you're an artist who wants to make a living from your art instead of, pushing the pavement, going to a day job, then this program would be a good fit for you.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I like that. I think the way I would describe it, like what you're saying, is in a lot of professional spheres, there's some people are more interested in getting famous, and other people are interested in making a profit or making a living or making a great living doing what they're doing. They're not mutually exclusive, but we're more about how do you make a living, how do you make a profit from your artwork, and then the more you do that, the more successful you have. Of course, you're going to get more notoriety and fame, but it's not first and foremost about getting famous and having like a massive audience from day one, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Cool. So why should someone listening take action right now?
Because it's the real deal. You're going to get results. And if you believe in putting in work, you're going to get results. And, the coursework is tailored to guide you through the pitfalls. And like I said before, the first step is changing your mindset. And it has nothing to do with art. It has nothing to do with really business. It's really about just people in general and basic communications, which I think is the heart of pretty much any business venture out there. Is you got to get the mindset correct first.
If you don't know how to build relationships with people, it's going to be very hard to make sales.
Exactly. You have to be open. You have to be able to communicate. You can't be shy. And if you're shy, you got to break out of that shell. So yeah.
So like the question was, why should someone listening take action right now?
I say,
is it like basically like you feel like the mindset stuff is so essential that you need help though, kind of working on that and getting through it? You need someone to show you like a paradigm shift on how to do that?
If you're looking to take a large leap or an advancement in taking your art more serious, then that's why I would say they need to sign up. I was a little bit, everybody's going to be skeptical because that's just the way these coaching, ventures are, where people offer you, all these niceties and prizes and stuff, but it still boils down to you doing the legwork. But the difference is that doing the work, you have a whole bunch of guidance and assistance and reference material to help you along. It's just not like here's a bunch of coursework, go study it, go do it, and then figure it out.
Good luck.
You get the one-on-one, interaction and guidance, that'll help you navigate.
Nice. Well, what's your number one piece of advice for artists right now?
Don't lose motivation if you're not getting results. I think everything's going to take time. That's been one of my biggest faults. Is I always expect so much from the beginning, and then if I don't hit that whatever initial target, I get frustrated. So just stay focused and follow the coursework. Be honest with yourself and what your capabilities are, and you'll eventually see results.
Yeah, it's like we're also conditioned, I think, by a lot of different forces in society of like we just want that instant feedback. And when people it's the first time they've done business before. In business, you don't always get that instant feedback. And so if people don't see that instant feedback, they have resistance or something doesn't work right away, it's really, really easy to throw up your hands and just quit basically. And I think what you're saying is so powerful that like just to stay positive, stay motivated, and be honest with yourself about, okay, did I really do this? Did I not do it? What can I do better? And then just keep iterating and having that iterative approach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a get-rich-quick kind of program. I really have to discipline myself to do the work. You know, it's not going to just walk in and just lay itself in front on your lap and say, here you go, here's $10,000 a month.
But do you feel like as you've had some more success, like it gets easier? It's like to do the work because you have that confidence and that motivation?
Exactly. It doesn't hurt when you make a sale. You know, it doesn't hurt when you get a commission. You know, like, oh crap, this is actually working. Let's keep on going. And you want to try.
That really fires you up.
Definitely a good motivator.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what yeah, if for artists that are struggling out there, if you can just keep going till you make that first sale and the second sale and the third sale, it's like once you get that first sale, it just puts a ton of wind in your sails to keep going and take action still.
Right.
Well, this is awesome, Sharif. I've so enjoyed chatting with you, learning more about your background, what you've been working on, really enjoying working with you and coaching you. What's on deck for you in the next 30 to 90 days? Like what sort of, what do you want to focus on next in terms of our relationship and growing your art practice and the things that you're going to be working on?
So the goal for the next few months is to continue my repeatable process of going to live events and meeting people in person and applying your skills in person, on site, with real people. And on top of that, take advantage of the group conversations or the Q&A sessions to see how I can, because part of my growth has been taking advantage of the live events.
Yep.
I really want to start seeing how I can have an impact through social media and trying to build relationships, organic relationships with people that support my art on social media.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said before, I already started the lead portion of the training where I do that. So focus more on the sales. I think that's what's going forward in the future is you talk about the domino effect and the sales pitfalls. I want to put that in action now and see if I try to close a sale or push a sale, how do I go about doing that? I haven't perfected it yet. I've just been getting lucky. So I want to see if I can be more structured with that in the coming months.
I love it, man. So yeah, I think that's a really good plan. And do you mind if I make a suggestion or two?
Sure, please.
Yeah, so I think, remember, we only need one predictable source of leads. So I think I would just focus on the events for now. And if you look at the sales training and really take some insights from that, start applying that to your conversations, be a bit more systematic, I would not be surprised if you don't double your close rate. No joke, just doing that. And then once we've done that, we can look at maybe testing out raising your pricing. I think between all that and just sticking with these events you're doing, I think you can definitely get to that 20 to 30K a month mark. And then once we're there and that's humming, we can worry about social media if you'd like to. So that's what I would suggest if I were in your shoes.
Yeah, kind of was thinking that, Harry, or I was just going to say, why don't you just focus on the live events, man? That's kind of working for you.
Yeah, it's so much easier if you've got something that's already working or shows promise of working, making that thing work even better. That's a lot easier than trying to get something net new to work. Social media will definitely work for you. It's just, you don't need to make your life harder than it needs to be. I'd rather do easy things.
Damn, that's a good point, man.
Nice, man. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. This has been great. Let's do this again in a month or two. See where you're
at. All right, man. Hopefully it'll be 10, 15, 20,000.
I love it. All right. Talk soon.
All right, man. See ya.
Bye.